Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of The Untold. This program is brought for everyone who's really into knowing more about, let's say, great journey through our guests. Of course, before we're going to know more about our guests, I would like to welcome my host, Day.
Thank you so much, Hiba. I hope you are doing good. And of course, welcome, dear viewers, to this brand new episode of The Untold. So, basically, if you are into photography, drones, then this episode is going to be for you.
Yes, I'm very quite sure everyone is really interested in this industry. We're going to know more about that with Professor Ramy Khair, so stay tuned with us.
Welcome back to the studios of The Untold, dear viewers. And of course, welcome to our guest, Mr. Ramy Khair. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're so happy to have you here with us. So, basically, can you introduce yourself at the very beginning before we get started with the
Sure.
question?
My name is Ramy Khair. I'm Lebanese, living in Kuwait since 2009. I teach in university. I'm an associate professor. And besides my career, I have a hobby for photography and drone photography.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
That's really
so
quite interesting, you know. So having that said, especially when we're talking more about the field itself, I mean, dealing with college and university is something very challenging. You're dealing with a different personality, dealing with a different, let's say, age category, being transferred from being, let's say, in high school students towards college life and so. So tell us about that. Like, why did you choose that as a profession?
To be honest, I never chose to be I never expected or wanted to be a teacher. It happened just because I was serving in the military service in Lebanon. We had this 1 year we had to do it.
Yes.
And the last 3 months, I couldn't get a job, like a normal, regular job. So I thought I'll apply for universities. Maybe I get accepted. I can teach like 1 or 2 courses in the afternoon after I finish my army.
Yeah.
And this was back in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And I got accepted into universities, and I started since then, and I never stopped teaching.
Well, that's really quite interesting.
that's nice. And you teach graphic design, is that right?
Graphic design, multimedia,
Mhm.
animation, technological classes like
All right,
that.
so what kind of courses you give?
Yeah, in my college, I teach basically 3D animation, film production, motion graphics, web design, in addition to traditional graphic design courses where print production and Photoshop and Illustrator, all of those things.
It's really interesting.
Mostly technical courses.
Yes. So, how did you develop that kind of, let's say, sense in, let's say, being in the field of photography and adding it towards it? Because, you know, sometimes they always say that every field that you're into is connected somehow to the other field. And so tell us about that. Like, how did you find your path towards it?
Definitely. And when I was in my undergrad, I took 2 photography classes, and I really enjoyed it, and I felt a passion for photography since then. And then basically when I did my master's, I learned all of those multimedia fields,
Yeah.
like animation and film production. So I was able to blend those together. And I've been using photography since then, since my undergrad.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is how your job skills helped in maintaining and increasing your hobby.
Definitely. I use what I teach in my hobbies, in my photography. What I teach my classes, my students, I actually use them in my hobbies and my videos and stuff.
That's really nice because this is how someone can keep doing what they're doing, right? Because they're gonna be passionate about it. They're gonna love doing whatever
Right.
they're doing. So
Definitely, you have to have the passion for it.
this is
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course, when it comes into all of the updates that are happening in the world, digital field is very important. And having that said, we've seen so many challenges that face today's learners is because they're always up to grade and always thinking about what's next, you know, in this field. And it must be very challenging, frustrating, especially when it comes into as professors. You want to grab the attention of the learners as well, because lots of maybe students could be very challenging in a way that they come to the course and they're already, let's say, up to date towards that. So how do you feel and validate today the knowledge that learners have when it comes into technology and advanced in that?
The thing is, in the field and the courses that I teach, if you don't stay up to date, you will very quickly fall behind. It's evolving very much. It's every semester, like for example, film production. Every semester I teach it. There is modifications, there's addition, changes in the course. So if you don't do that, you will very quickly be obsolete. What you teach. So
Okay.
you have to keep updating yourself, especially now with AI basically filling everything, every single field now you can. So you have to. I feel like most of the professors in the college are trying to see how they can work around AI, but you can't. It's something that's taking place. It's coming. It's already here. You either work with it or you're gonna be falling behind very quickly.
Yes, like
So that's why
yeah.
I push my students to use AI to be more efficient in their production, but in a way that not to limit their creativity and their efforts. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes. As they all say, just use it, like learn how to use it, not to rely on it.
Yes,
Know how
this
to
is.
use it in a benefit way to essence, let's say, the tools and become
Definitely,
more productive. Because yet
definitely.
again, in the end, this is more of a machine, more of more of an, let's say, intelligence that's being there. But always remember that it could always be more of, let's say, talented in a way, not to provoke it and keep it back, but make it much better by using it.
Definitely. So you mentioned something about photography, right? So you picked up the skill within the undergrad uh, years. So basically, also mentioned something about drones. So both of them, both about the drones and photography,
Yeah,
they're the same thing right now. You can take photos through the drones, right? So
definitely.
what's the difference in your perspective with the traditional way of photography and also drones photography?
Technically, everything that applies to a traditional camera applies to drones. Yani, when you're setting the aperture, the shutter speed, all of those things, you can apply them in the drone, definitely. But the only thing that the drone enables you to do is the angles that it gives you, those untraditional angles. Like you can, wherever you are sitting, like if you have a traditional camera, DSLR or a mirrorless, you have to go somewhere to get the angle. Whereas with the drone, you just sitting here, you can send it and take any angle you want. So with traditional photography, you're moving on the ground in 2D. With the drone, it adds this third dimension where you can go up, take angles that really people are not used to until those days, and this was enabled by the drones. And being able to make use of this advantage is a huge thing. Definitely, because drones allows you to get angles in photography that you can never get other way.
Yeah, and I guess most of the angles that you get out of the drones, they look great because
Yeah.
you never seen them before, right?
It's yeah. People are getting used
Yeah,
to it
yeah,
now, but
definitely.
if you go like 3-4 years back, it was something totally new. That's why it would grab the attention of everybody. Nobody have seen angles like those, like top down or
Yes.
Hamra Tower, for example, seeing it from above. Nobody have seen it, or Kuwait
Yeah, the
Towers.
clouds and
Yeah,
all these.
yeah, yeah.
It definitely it gives a great, vibrant look to the city or to the show, or,
Definitely, definitely.
anything being
Yeah.
recorded.
And this conversation just goes takes me really back when drones were being, let's say, presented to the market and everyone used to, let's say, purchasing them. I mean, they were very huge at the beginning.
True,
Like, I do
true.
remember buying the first drone. It was really huge, and I just thought it was really easy, and I ended up running. It's like it was running behind me, like I couldn't stop. It was very terrifying moment. And then within the days now, we've seen so many updates that happened. Like, it was really huge until it reached towards the size that it could actually be really, let's say, nano and,
Tiny,
and,
the
and mini
size
in
of
size.
the
Yeah.
size of a
I
palm.
mean, how terrifying it was from the beginning,
True.
and then towards now today. So this actually shows how the market is, let's say, working towards it and marketing it not only for professional photographers, but also for, let's say, mediocre photographers as well. The ones who are really into the field itself. It's like they enter that kind of field of the market to not just present it for professionals, but also for the ones who have that passion for
True.
photography. So having that said, Today, we've seen so, especially if we're talking about here in Kuwait, globally, normally, if being said, everyone is really into photography and especially into using these, let's say, gadgets and dealing with them. So, having that said, do you believe that this kind of development is, let's say, good for everyone? Like, do you believe that everyone should, let's say, try, even though for once in their life, for
Definitely,
instance,
definitely. Everybody has the
driving a
right to
drone?
try. Everybody now it's easy. Any mobile phones nowadays, everybody is a photographer. Everybody who has a mobile phone is a photographer nowadays. You know, so and I totally feel it's the right for everyone to try. You never know. You might do something that you never thought you would be passionate about, and you'll find your passion there. Hala, who makes it and who becomes like known or who can come with pictures that will make him different and stand out from the crowd, it makes it harder for people to show, to be basically different than the
Right.
crowd. But that's where the challenge is. Yani, the good photographers, the professional ones, or the talented ones, or who have the passion, they will always find ways to stand out and make their
Right.
photography different,
Yeah.
unique. Yeah,
Right.
I
So
think that's the key.
Yeah, all right. So basically, I'm interested in knowing more about the very first time that you purchased a drone and how did the experience go with you? I mean, we heard
Yeah, I was running away.
Hiba, yes, it
I was
was.
just running away.
Yeah,
And I was like,
mine.
May forgot that I was the owner and the remote control
It
is
has
with
the
me. Oh my god.
Oh, mine was terrible as well. I had, it was started hitting walls, and
Yeah.
we had to practice more and more so that you know how to fly one. But what about you?
Hala, for me, and since I was a kid, I used to love everything that moves remote controlled through a remote control. So like little cars and like boats in the sea. But I always thought, why don't they make something fly? It would be amazing. It was like a dream. Like imagine you controlling something that's flying in the air from a remote control. So back in 2013, 14, this is where drones started to show, and I was like, okay, this thing that I always dreamt that it was like, I thought it was impossible to happen. It was happening, and it had like cameras in it, so you can basically not only fly remote
two in
control,
one.
you can also do photography. So two of my very big passions came together in one. So it was a no-brainer. I directly went and I bought the first one as soon as I heard about it, and since then I've been updating, getting more drones and they came a long way. And when I got my first drone, like you said, they were big and the cameras were bad, the stabilization was bad. It was hard to fly them. Now it's very, very easy. They give you very smooth footage, very professional footage. So they came a long way.
And now, before you couldn't connect them with a mic or a recording
Yeah.
item, but now you can do that easily with your phone or with any
هلا
device.
there are drones that can record audio, but the sound that you hear is the sound
Yes,
of the fans.
That's why I mentioned
Yeah, the
adding
propellers.
or connecting an
Yeah.
external mic now.
You can now. You can do
Yes.
anything. Everything is possible. Yani, before you couldn't see what the camera of the drone is shooting. You had to fly it and just hope that the camera is looking
Yes.
at the thing that you
Ah.
want to shoot.
Right.
Now you see it right in front of you on the screen, and you can fly like 5 kilometers away. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing technology.
I mean, it's very beautiful. Like recently, I had been recording with my director using the drone. I was very terrified because she was like coming closer to me. I was like, you know what, this drone is gonna hit me somewhere. But fairly enough. I mean, we've always been scared from the unknown, and especially when it comes into all of the updates that have been happening in this industry. So we're going to talk more about that, but in specific details after this break, dear viewers. So stay tuned with us.
welcome back, dear viewers, from the break, and of course, welcome back again with Ramy Khair. So basically, we were, talking more about drones and photography, and some stories behind, being passionate about, remote controlled objects and cars, and then moving on to stuff that can fly, which happens to be drones right now. So when it comes to someone who is, he have just seen a drone and they wanted to get one, how easy do you think now it is for them to fly one?
The learning curve is quick, and you can very quickly become comfortable flying a drone. But that doesn't mean that out of the box you can fly it and become professional. You have to train. Even me, flying the drone since 2014, I still sometimes put myself in situations where it's tricky, and you need to be very careful. Sometimes I get really scared of hitting something. So it's not that easy, but it's relatively easy to learn. It's you can very quickly get the hang of it and be able to fly it by yourself.
So you get the hang of it naturally, or maybe watch some videos or
Definitely,
off the
you
internet?
have to watch some videos on YouTube, tutorials, or at least have somebody who knows how to fly a drone first, because there are certain things, like at least like the sticks of the remote control, to tell you each one which direction it takes the drone in, and definitely practice. The more you practice, the better you get. And but again, the technology, and it's not something you can just leave the drone and leave the remote control, and the drone will be just sitting there in the air. It will not fall, or it will not fly with the wind. They're very, very safe, and they're very easy to maneuver and fly and do whatever you want with
All
them.
right, that was good
Yeah.
advice for those beginners, I would say, if they want to try it. Then,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely, it's very easy to learn.
Yes. And of course, when it comes into mentioning the market as well, now we've seen so many competitors in the field, and we have so many different varieties of drones that we could actually buy and purchase, and especially the ones that are very safe when it comes into all of the adjustments that very suitable for everyone in any place. So having that said, being a photographer, I'm very sure one of the most thing that grabs your attention is a certain, let's say, picture for nature environment, or if we're saying about building or people. So what grabs your attention when it comes into photography? Is it something specific?
I like landscape photography. I like cityscape photography. Um, I enjoy portraits and shooting people, but I feel like um, uh, I find myself more shooting stuff that are like far away from me, like landscapes, cityscapes, stuff like that. I feel like you can get more out of them, like
Yeah.
different angles and stuff. Probably that's why I went more into drone photography than traditional photography.
You can tell by his profile, he got prominent photos of lightning, right?
Yes,
So and also this one caught my attention here. So I'm wondering, isn't it risky to fly during this kind of weather?
There's always risk in any weather. If it's windy, if it's raining, in lightning, but we usually wait for those kind of weathers in Kuwait, especially that it's not as frequent.
common?
It's not that common. So we have like a community of drone pilots here in Kuwait, and every time there's like fog or there is lightning, we start on the WhatsApp groups, like texting each others, and we go and we meet and we
Oh,
start
that's
flying.
nice.
Oh, nice.
So
They got groups.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Community,
definitely,
indeed.
definitely. So it's fun. We wait for those kinds of weathers, and it's always risky. But again, those drones are not like really waterproof, but they are water resistant. They can handle like rain, even if it's raining for like 5 minutes. Not very, very heavy.
Not the heavy
You can
rain.
keep flying it. But yes, if it's very heavy rain, then it's better to bring it down on the
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yes, and I mean sometimes it's always these amazing footage and great pictures that a person take when it's really risky. It's
Definitely.
that kind of.
You have
let's
to
say,
take the risk.
Yeah. So of course, when it comes into let's say such passion, a lot of people would ask if you would do, for instance, some classes or present some lessons when it comes into outside college, talking more about, let's say, dealing with drones, dealing with photography and such. So do you do actually that?
I do sometimes when people ask me. But being like a university professor as a full time, I cannot do it like as a job, you know.
Yes.
So if it's something for a friend or someone I know, yes, definitely. I did it multiple times, but not
Frequently,
very
let's say.
frequent. Yes, not very frequent.
So in any profession or hobby there, or any kind of field, there has to be this guy who inspires us to become who we are, right? So
Mm.
were there any role models, if you will, that inspired you into photography or your field in general?
Uh, I can't think of any specific role model, but I get inspired by creative things. I get inspired by stuff that are new, stuff that are hey, trigger me to think, oh, how was this shot taken? How was this effect made? This is really what inspires me to look more and try to figure out how they were done, try to evolve them, try to mix different ideas with them. So it's not like a specific person. It's more about like things that really grab my attention. I get inspired by them.
So let's say maybe social media pictures can inspire people.
Definitely,
This is actually one of the
definitely.
cool. Yes, sometimes you don't need a specific person to inspire you, but
Yeah,
scrolling down social media nowadays, you can get inspired and start doing stuff that you never thought that
absolutely,
you would be doing, right?
absolutely.
Yes, especially when it comes into all of the new media ways that are being presented and tools when it comes into great, let's say,
True.
footage or even edit at the same time. So many great things that are happening in the industry. So sometimes you get these kind of stories if you are a person who uses the drone for the first time, even if you were a professional one. I had this kind of incident with one of also the directors. Like she was flying the drone and then suddenly she was like just staring at the sky and I was like, what's going on? She's like, I can't find my drone. So we were really terrified is because she wanted to press the locator for it to come back, but she was scared that it could hit the
Yeah,
building.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And it was a very terrifying moment for us. So having that said, like have you ever occurred such kind of, let's say, incidents or situation
Oh
where
yeah.
you're actually thinking about where's the drone?
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. هلا, there's always like there's maps system
Yeah.
and you can see where the drone is, but sometimes you lose connection with the drone, and usually the drone is very safe to the point that if you lose connection for 10 seconds it will just turn and come back to where it took off from.
Yes.
But this is probably what happened with her. It was like coming back, but you don't know if there is like a building in front of it or something like that.
Yeah.
So there are also, for something like this, there's also something called return to home altitude, where
Yes.
you can set it to go to a specific altitude before it returns home. So if you are between buildings and it can lose the connection very easily, so it's good to always set the return to home altitude to be higher than the tallest building. But sometimes you forget to do
Yep.
that, you know,
Yeah.
and it's very very scary. Another thing that could be very scary is like you're flying the drone and it's very far and the battery is dying, like you're losing battery life. Lots of times we land at like 2 kilometers away and we
Oh my
go to the
God.
car with the car and get it. So yeah, lots of those situations are scary.
Right, so Rami, you participated in specific competitions, and you weren't a member, or you weren't one of the participants. You were the judge, right?
Yeah, I was jury
Member of the jury
in
members.
couple
All
of
right.
photos.
So, what were like your experience, and what were these competitions?
There are like more than five, but two of the bigger ones. There was the first drone competition on the in all of the Gulf countries. Like this was like the biggest drone competition in the Middle East. There was like more than like 3,000 participants and like more than 10,000 photos and videos submitted. This was like really big. I was a jury member there. And also the Ministry of Tourism in Jordan, they made this competition as well, where they took competitors, drone pilots from all over the Middle East, from Egypt, from Lebanon, from Kuwait, and they spent a week shooting all around Jordan, and then they submitted, each one submitted a video of Jordan for tourism, and I was also a member in the jury for that one as well. So those were like the biggest two competitions I juried in.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
That's really great. Yeah. So having this great opportunity makes you more of an idol, especially if you are a professor, an educator, and also dealing with learners and students who look up for you. So when it comes into that, how effective do you feel it's, let's say, you're keeping that kind of impact on your students today, learning more about you and your background and what you're actually doing and participating? Like today, you're not just saying, I'm just teaching you about digital art or anything about that kind of, let's say, region, but I also do have that kind of passion of sense that I'm developing in outside college walls as well. So how important is that when it comes into, let's say, keeping more of a great positive role model for them?
Definitely, it's very important for any professor in university or any teacher in high school, even. If you're not passionate, if you're not in the field, if you're not really practicing what you are teaching, it will be irrelevant. Yani the stuff that you teach, no matter how much you learn about something, unless you do it yourself,
Right.
there are so many details and so many technical details and issues that you learn while you are doing the thing. You cannot just learn it from someone. So I always tell my students, yani, I can teach you for 10 years, but if you don't do the thing yourself, you will forget it the next day. And when you do it, the more you do it, the better you get. You will never become perfect, but you can always enhance yourself and your techniques.
Regarding
Definitely.
doing the things yourself, I was thinking about, you mentioned, participating as a jury, member of the jury for the competitions, but you haven't participated yourself since, you're into photography and all these kind of
Yeah.
things, especially drones. Why you haven't participated?
I'm not sure if I should be saying this, but I feel like certain competitions, not all like international competitions, but lots of local, not in Kuwait, but even in Lebanon and everywhere you go, even in Europe, lots of competitions, they do them, I feel, as like content harvesting, like they do this competition, they give a prize for like a new, I don't know, resort or whatever. So lots of people come and shoot this resort and they send in the videos. And in the end, they give those three rewards, but they end up having footage that are very, very precious and very expensive that if they wanted to do them another way. Those kind of competitions, I don't like to participate in them. I feel like I'm being used for some reason. Unless if it's a well-known competition, international competition, then that's a different story.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Fairly said, So again, one of the most important thing is to always have passion and to always love what you do. So regarding that matter, maybe you'd like to advise the audience how important is to keep your passion alive and to emphasize on it, no matter what that kind of passion is.
If you have the passion, it will be alive in you. But if you're doing something that you are not passionate about, no matter how much you force yourself, I feel, to do this thing, eventually you will feel like you don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
But the passion is a key thing to keep you going, to keep
Right.
you learning, to keep you pushing to become better and better and evolve yourself. So it's not. I don't think it's about keeping the passion. It's about having the passion to stay in this field and to evolve and to become better.
Yes.
Well said. Well, thank you so much. I would say Professor Ramy Khair for being part
Thank you
of
very
this
much. Thank you for having me.
interview. We were so happy to have you with us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, so dear viewers, stay with us. Before we wrap the episode, we will take a quick break. And with that being said, dear viewers, we have reached the end of this episode of The Untold. So it was a beautiful one.
And it's more of an inspirational, let's say, episode. We've dealt with a very great guest, talking more about his passion, his career, and his love to drones.
Yep. So we hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe, dear viewers, and we hope to see you again in another episode of The Untold. Goodbye.